Stop scrolling. Because a company that quietly became one of the powerful forces in artificial intelligence, NVIDIA, almost did not survive. Today, NVIDIA's computer chips power everything from intelligence chatbots to self-driving cars to the world's fastest supercomputers. NVIDIA's market value has reached levels few companies in history have achieved. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang became one of the influential people in technology. But here's the part almost nobody knows. There was a time when NVIDIA was fighting to stay alive. Investors doubted NVIDIA. Competitors laughed at NVIDIA. Wall Street ignored NVIDIA. For years, it looked like the wrong bet. So how did a small graphics chip company, NVIDIA, become the backbone of the intelligence revolution? Why does every major artificial intelligence company depend on NVIDIA's technology? How did one immigrant entrepreneur, Jensen Huang, see the future long before the rest of the world? This isn't the story of NVIDIA. It's the story of patience, vision, and a decision that changed the future of intelligence forever. Stay with me, because what happened next changed the technology industry forever. Every great company begins with an idea. Ideas alone do not build empires. In 1993, three engineers sat together in a restaurant in California. There were no cameras, no investors waiting outside, no headlines predicting history. Three people talking about a future almost nobody else could see. One of them was Jensen Huang. At the time, the personal computer industry was growing rapidly. Most companies were focused on making processors more memory, better operating systems. Jensen Huang believed something different. Jensen Huang believed computers would eventually need graphics performance, not just for games, but for entirely new kinds of computing. It sounded risky. The market was not asking for it. Many experts did not understand it. Jensen Huang was not building for today. Jensen Huang was building for 10 years from now. That mindset would eventually change everything. The three founders pooled their ideas, created a company they called NVIDIA. The office was not glamorous. The team was small. Money was limited. Every dollar mattered. Every decision could determine whether NVIDIA survived another month. Like startups, their first years were filled with uncertainty, long nights, constant pressure, endless problem solving. There were moments when failure felt closer than success. Their first product struggled to gain traction. Competition was fierce. Established technology companies already dominated the industry. Customers were cautious. Investors wanted results. Inside NVIDIA, the pressure kept growing. Then came one of the moments in NVIDIA's early history. One of NVIDIA's graphics chip projects failed commercially. Months of work, millions of dollars, and enormous expectations had produced results. For startups, a setback like that ends a story. Employees lose confidence. Investors walk away. Cash begins to disappear. Jensen Huang later reflected that NVIDIA came dangerously close to failing during those years. Instead of giving up, the team made a decision. Learn, adapt, build again. Then, chasing every opportunity, they focused on becoming the very best at graphics processing. It was a choice. Graphics chips were still considered a niche market. Many people believed processors, the CPU, would always do most of the important work. NVIDIA saw something others missed. Some problems could be solved faster if many calculations happened at the same time. Of one powerful worker, imagine thousands working together. That simple idea became the foundation of the GPU. At first, the biggest customers were gamers. Video games demanded worlds, smooth movement, detailed graphics. Every new game pushed hardware further. NVIDIA responded with more powerful GPUs. Gamers loved them. Developers embraced them. The company finally found momentum. Revenue grew. Confidence returned. Jensen Huang was not satisfied. Jensen Huang believed the GPU could do more than render video games. Jensen Huang imagined scientists using it, researchers, engineers, doctors, anyone facing computational problems. At the time, many people thought that idea was unrealistic. Why would researchers use gaming hardware? The answer was hidden in the architecture itself. GPUs could perform thousands of calculations simultaneously. That made them perfect for scientific and engineering workloads. It was an insight. There was still one enormous obstacle. Software, the world's most powerful hardware, is useless if developers can't easily use it. So NVIDIA invested heavily in something that didn't immediately generate headlines, a software platform called CUDA. It allowed programmers to harness the power of GPUs for more than graphics. The investment was expensive. It took years. Many questioned whether it was worth it. Jensen Huang kept pushing. Jensen Huang believed that if developers built on NVIDIA's platform, they would unlock new industries. Most companies focus on the quarter. NVIDIA focused on the decade. That patience would become one of its competitive advantages. Slowly, researchers began experimenting. Universities adopted GPU computing. Scientific discoveries accelerated. Complex simulations became faster. The foundation had been laid. Yet almost nobody outside the technology world noticed. Wall Street still wasn't calling NVIDIA the future. The company remained largely known for gaming. Beneath the surface, something extraordinary was happening. A technological shift had already begun, one that would soon collide with another breakthrough, intelligence. When those two worlds finally met, everything changed. Overnight, the same technology built for graphics would become one of the valuable tools in modern computing. The company that many had once underestimated, NVIDIA, was about to become the backbone of the intelligence revolution. For years, NVIDIA looked like a technology company. Nothing more. NVIDIA dominated gaming graphics. NVIDIA earned respect from engineers. Outside the tech world, very few people paid attention. Then artificial intelligence changed everything. Researchers had spent decades trying to teach computers how to learn. The idea was not new. The problem was power. Training an intelligence model required billions, sometimes trillions, of mathematical calculations. Traditional CPUs could do the work. They were too slow for the massive scale researchers needed. Then someone asked a question, what if we use GPUs instead? The results were astonishing. Tasks that once took weeks could suddenly be completed in days, sometimes hours. It was not magic. It was architecture. The GPU had been designed to perform calculations at the same time, exactly what modern artificial intelligence needed. Suddenly, NVIDIA was not just making gaming hardware anymore. NVIDIA had become the engine behind a revolution. Universities rushed to buy NVIDIA's chips. Research labs followed. Then the biggest technology companies in the world joined the race. Everyone wanted computing power. NVIDIA had exactly what they needed. Jensen Huang did not stop there. Jensen Huang knew competitors would eventually copy the hardware. So Jensen Huang doubled down on the ecosystem. Better software, better developer tools, better networking, better artificial intelligence frameworks. Jensen Huang wanted NVIDIA to become more than a chip company. Jensen Huang wanted NVIDIA to become the foundation of intelligence itself. That strategy proved brilliant. When companies invested in NVIDIA hardware, they also invested in NVIDIA software, tools, developer community, ecosystem. The deeper customers went, the harder it became to leave. Then came another turning point. Generative intelligence, powerful language models, image generation, scientific research, drug discovery, autonomous machines. Suddenly, artificial intelligence was not just for researchers anymore. Artificial intelligence became part of life. Businesses everywhere wanted intelligence. Governments wanted intelligence. Startups wanted intelligence. Every organization needed computing power. Nearly all of them were searching for the same thing, NVIDIA GPUs. Demand exploded. Production struggled to keep up with NVIDIA. Some companies waited months for deliveries from NVIDIA. Others spent billions of dollars building AI data centers to compete with NVIDIA. NVIDIA had become one of the important suppliers in modern technology. Its revenue surged at NVIDIA. Its profits reached record levels at NVIDIA. Its market value climbed to heights for NVIDIA. Investors who had ignored NVIDIA for years now could not stop talking about NVIDIA. The same business that had nearly failed decades earlier was suddenly one of the valuable companies in the world. And that company was NVIDIA. Jensen Huang remained surprisingly consistent. He continued wearing his signature leather jacket. He kept speaking about long-term thinking, about engineering, about solving problems at NVIDIA, not chasing hype, building the future for NVIDIA. He often reminded people that overnight success usually takes decades, and NVIDIA proved that. 30 years of preparation positioned NVIDIA for one moment. When AI finally arrived, NVIDIA was not lucky, it was ready. That's a difference. Luck creates moments, preparation creates empires, and NVIDIA is an example of that. Yet one final question remains: can NVIDIA stay on top? Will another technological revolution create a new winner? Because history has taught us one lesson over and over again: no company stays on top forever unless it keeps reinventing itself. And that's where the final chapter of NVIDIA's story begins. The biggest lesson from NVIDIA's story isn't about computer chips. It is about billions of dollars. And it isn't about artificial intelligence. It's about seeing tomorrow while everyone else is focused on today, and that's what NVIDIA did. When NVIDIA was building GPUs, most people believed they were only useful for video games. When Jensen Huang invested billions into software, many investors questioned the decision. When the company spent years building tools for developers, few people understood why, but NVIDIA kept moving forward. For decades, the rewards were invisible. Then the world changed, artificial intelligence exploded, and suddenly everything NVIDIA had been building for 30 years made sense. That's how history is written. The biggest breakthroughs rarely look obvious in the beginning. They look risky, uncertain, even foolish, until one day everyone wishes they had believed sooner, and that's what happened with NVIDIA. Jensen Huang once bet his company on a future no one could guarantee. That decision demanded patience, discipline, and the courage to ignore short-term noise, because truly great leaders do not follow trends. They build for the future before the future arrives, and that's what Jensen Huang did for NVIDIA. Today, NVIDIA's technology powers some of the world's advanced AI systems. Researchers use it to accelerate scientific discovery. Engineers use it to design next-generation products. Doctors use AI systems supported by GPU computing to help analyze complex medical data. Automakers use it to develop autonomous driving technologies. Robotics companies use it to train intelligent machines. What began as a graphics company has become one of the foundations of modern computing, and perhaps the most incredible part is that none of it happened overnight. It took decades of persistence, thousands of engineers, millions of hours of work, countless failures, relentless improvement. Success was not one moment. It was thousands of small decisions made consistently over time, and that's the lesson from NVIDIA's story. There's a lesson that reaches far beyond technology. Whether you're building a business, creating content, learning a new skill, or chasing a dream, everyone else doubts the process. Is the same: most people quit because they do not see immediate results. They expect success in months. They give up after a few setbacks. But the people who change industries think differently. They understand that today's invisible work creates tomorrow's visible success. Every hour you invest in learning, every mistake you learn from, every challenge you overcome becomes part of your advantage, because while others are waiting for opportunity, you can be preparing for it. And when opportunity finally arrives, preparation always beats luck. And that's what NVIDIA did. It did not simply ride the AI revolution. It was ready for years before the rest of the world realized what was coming. That's what vision looks like: not predicting the future perfectly, but preparing for possibilities before everyone else. One company, one leader, one long-term belief, and an industry changed forever. If this documentary gave you a perspective on how NVIDIA became one of the world's most influential technology companies, take a second to hit the like button, subscribe to Rise from Zero for more cinematic documentaries about billion-dollar companies, visionary founders, hidden business strategies, and the untold stories behind the world's biggest success stories. And before you leave, go down to the comments and write these 4 words: vision beats shortcuts. Not for the algorithm, for yourself, as a reminder that the greatest success stories are never built overnight. They're built quietly, one decision, one sacrifice, and one day at a time, because in the end, the future does not belong to people who react first. It belongs to the people who prepare first. And that's the story of NVIDIA.